what's up, everybody, and thank you for joining me for another episode of the podcast. We're at episode number 13, and before I get into introducing this week's guest, I want to give an explanation to why there's been such a lapse between podcasts. I know we dropped episode 12 about 2 weeks ago with Marco, but I didn't give an explanation to why there was a layoff. Unfortunately, last year in September, my nan, she passed away, and it definitely was the most traumatic thing to happen to me, my family, to date so far. I think the worst thing about it wasn't because of natural causes. Unfortunately, she had a pretty terrible accident, and as long as she tried to recover from that, she unfortunately wasn't able to. And I'm still getting choked up talking about it now. So just the driving, my mom and I driving back and forth for those couple months to the Bronx, I just didn't feel like doing it. But again, once we got into the new year, I started thinking about the podcast again and how much I love doing this, how much I love bringing on the guests and talking with them and sharing all this stuff with you guys. I just had to take a break, and, I couldn't have thought of a better guest than Marco last week, just to kind of sit back, like having a couple of beers and just talking. He was a good icebreaker, so I really appreciate him coming on and doing that for me. So that was the whole reason for the layoff. I got a lot of cool people lined up. I'm doing my best to get a schedule together, to be more consistent with my content, so you guys can rely on, some consistency on my end and can get an expectation on when to get some new content from me. So without further ado, let's jump into episode 13. This week's guest is Tiffany Simon. And Tiffany Simon runs a blog called Raising Ralph. And Raising Ralph is about her son. Her son, she found out when around 2.5 had autism. And through the trials and the challenges of that, and she put a blog together with the sole purpose of, just letting out her feelings and hopefully reaching out to other people who are experiencing the exact same thing that she is. And so she's looking to build that community with people to help each other, either get through stuff or, just bring stuff to light that you might not know of. I read her first blog, and then after reading her second one, I really felt the need to bring her on the podcast, get her to talk about her story, what she's doing, because I want to help her out as best as I can with what she's doing, because I think what she's doing is great, and I think it can help a ton of people. I know my demo, we're mostly a bunch of Neanderthals, knuckle draggers, but we got a soft. I know we got a softer side. I know we got friends who might be dealing with this, and I'd really appreciate if you guys would share this podcast to them. The links to her website and some other information will be at the bottom of this YouTube page, and also on the BrianDiaz.net website as well. And unbeknownst to me, Tiffany brought this to light. I didn't realize that April was Autism Awareness Month, so this is actually a perfect time to get her on. And again, her blog is great. The information that she has on is great. I can hear the passion in her voice, and I only wish her the best on moving forward with this. To give a background on Tiffany, she and I went to high school together. She played, I think we were both on a basketball team. She was, her and the girl I was seeing at the time, a lot better than me in basketball, unfortunately. I think I was in my senior year, I was about 140 pounds, soaking wet. I couldn't put weight on to save my life. But now, in my 40s, I got problems keeping it off. But anyway. But we went to college together. Unbeknownst to me, she said that she saw me on campus a couple of times. She never said hello. So what's up with that? And mutual friend Cabral, if you're listening right now, she called you and I old, So I know her 40th birthday's coming up as well. So remember that. She called us old. Make sure she doesn't forget that when she hits the big 4-0. But enough rambling with me. Like I said, check out her page. Please share this. Like I said, the content is great. I really hope that she continues on with that. If I'm talking with her, I didn't see any quit in her, which I think is great. So without further ado, let's jump right into episode number 13 with Tiffany Simon. So, Tiffany, how you doing? Thank you for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me. I'm good.
So it's been, I guess, full disclosure, we went to high school together, and then turns out college was a kind of a blur to me going, but we went to college together, and then the magic of Facebook, everyone's reconnecting through that.
Right. It's been 20 plus years.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, now you just gave everyone our ages. So
I'm not tripping. I'm happy to be here as long as I have been. Everything else after this is a bonus.
Yeah, right? So now it looks like both of us, we moved on to the next phases, family and kids and stuff like that. And then I think one of the things I saw you start doing, and a reason why I wanted to get you on the podcast, because I think what you're doing now is great. And I know a lot of the people who listen to my podcast. I mean, my demo is mostly guys who do martial arts and shoot guns and stuff like that. But, I think, the girlfriends or the wives or even family members could definitely get some good information from you and just kind of hear your story and stuff like that. So, I mean, you started a blog. It's named Raising Ralph, right? And Ralph, you have 2 kids, correct?
Yep. I have a daughter who is 5, who just turned 5, and a son who is 6. That's Ralph.
That's cool. That's a good age right now.
Yeah, they're super hyper and busy and fun, still discovering kind of who they are and what they want to do. And, it's fun. Every day is an adventure. So the blog Raising Ralph, I mean, can you tell me, how did that get started? I mean, what was your motivation behind that? What are some of your goals with the blog, and where do you kind of see yourself going? All right. So I started the blog. For those who don't know, my son Ralph was diagnosed with autism about a year and a half ago. We started this journey down the autism lane. At 2.5, we noticed that he had something going on with his hearing. There was an incident at daycare, and there were some instruments that fell really close to him, and he didn't even react. Everyone else reacted in the room, but he continued to play on like there was nothing going on. It was minimal sound. And so the provider was like, hey, you need to get his hearing tested. So we got his hearing tested. And we noticed like he wasn't saying a lot of words like kids his age. And, it was just certain little things we kind of noticed, but I didn't want to think that something was really wrong.
Right.
So we got his tubes put in his ear. So boom, he could hear. And so, when they say they get the tubes and they have him slow to speak, it kind of just at accelerated pace, he'll start talking, doing all this stuff. And it didn't happen. So then we were like, went to our pediatrician, told her what we thought, and she immediately turned to the autism spectrum kind of thing. So that means testing and doctor visits, like the physical pediatrician and things like that. So we got him tested at the Kennedy Krieger Center in Baltimore. And the other place you can get him tested is at Children's. Children's waiting list is like almost a year out just to get him tested to see what's going on. So we decided to go with Kennedy Krieger, which was about maybe a 3 to 4 month wait. And what they do is have a panel of doctors. Yeah, it's intense. You would be alarmed at the number of kids who are diagnosed with autism. Back when we were in school, we really didn't notice anything like that. You had your special education kids, but we never knew exactly, what was really going on and what it entailed, what, like their learning disabilities or, whatever their challenge was. I, for one, didn't really pay attention to it. I just knew they were special kids and, they had a special class.
But even ADHD, I don't remember hearing anybody with that back in the day.
Right. You just thought he was kind of hype or, she was just a little quirky or whatever. And so we begun the testing route and they said he had a developmental delay. So developmental delay meaning that his communication, his motor skills were fine. Everything was fine. It's just the communication piece, his comprehension, that kind of stuff. So based off his testing, he was about 3 when we got all this stuff done.
He was at a level of was it 14 to 16 month old, 14 to 16 months. Okay. So that's like a year and a half. He's already like 2 years, almost 2 years behind of where he needs to be. And so we got him involved in a program with the county, Prince George's County, called the Early Childhood Development, where they give him, it started off half days where he would go and have communication lessons with teachers and specialists and things like that for half the day. And, you know, as a working parent, it's not always easy to be accommodating to that. I'm lucky that I can telework, so I'm able to pick him up and drop him off. So once he got to be like 4, he started doing the all-day program. So he was at school all day, where all they worked on was communications. That was like verbal cues, prompting, learning how to say sentence structures and identifying objects. Because Ralph, at that point, when we started the process, had about 25 words. Okay. And that is like at the bare minimum of a kid his age should have. By the age of 3, you should have at least 100 to 150. So he's at the lowest part of the spectrum when it came to his vocabulary. And so just going through all that and, you know, finding out something's wrong with your firstborn kid and, you know, not having kids before and dealing with a kid with special needs, having nothing like that in your family as to draw strength from or understanding, it was hard. Mm-hmm. So I started my blog as just a release for me, because I had a breaking point where I just like one day I went through a period of months that I cried about it. I felt sorry for myself. I blamed myself. And then you go through a point where you're mad, because you're mad that you see people who, you know, are on drugs and have these kids and they come out to be perfectly fine. And when you did everything right in your pregnancy and taking care of them, and then, you know, something happens and something's wrong and you blame yourself, you get mad, angry. It's like a whole grieving process. So I finally got acceptance one day where I was talking to my mom and she's just like, you know what? I wish I could take it away what you feel, but I can't. But one thing I can tell you is that you really need to find strength from a higher source, meaning, you know, really pray about it, give it away to God for understanding and strength, you know, to take care of Ralph and to look after him and always keep his best interests in the forefront. As a parent, a lot of times we tend to make things about us, but it's really not about us. It's about them. And so what I set out to do is just to really bring awareness about autism and share my story, because I'm no longer want to sit in silence and process all these emotions and feelings by myself, because I know there's other people out there. And I started the blog just as a release to let out all my, you know, the different things that I learn about autism, because it's so much stuff out there that you read and about autism and diagnosis, where it comes from. And, you know, each kid is different because the spectrum is so broad. So my autism may be different from somebody else's autism, but they may have similar things. And just sharing of information is important in the autism community, because there are so many people that go through these things but don't have the resources or don't know of any resources to, you know, to talk to people, resources for kids like services and things like that. And I wanted my blog to facilitate that need within the community. And also just let people know, like, look, just because my kid is different doesn't mean he doesn't hurt just like your kid, or he can't learn just like your kid. He just learns in a different way. Right. It's just about educating folks. And so that's the real reason why I started. And I wanted to have something for when he gets older, he can look back and say, look, my mom started this. These were stories about me. And also, I also write about my daughter, because being a sibling to an autistic kid, sometimes they may feel like they're getting left out because all the attention goes to the, you know, my son. Right. And I tried to give her the same shine as I give him, because both of them are super important to me. And, you know, they're equally loved in my book. So, yeah.
And again, I mean, when I first saw you post on Facebook about the blog and just kind of reading the first one and then following up with the second one that you came through, I mean, I think it's great what you're doing. I mean, I really, just looking at the comments now, I can see that it is picking up some steam. And I mean, I I'd love just to figure out how I can help with the people who listen to this podcast, just to kind of help you get the word out and then just kind of connect. Because, I mean, even just parenting in general, I mean, I know with this, it's just like another added layer to it, but this parenting is not freaking easy.
Who are you telling? So, like, case in point today, there's certain quirks that he has. Certain things may set him off or whatever. And how to deal with it is not your typical way. You can't just like put him in timeout and think that after that he's going to be fine. Today, timeout may not work. So you have to come up with, you're always trying to change your approach to help minimize the situation. And just, it's wild. I wish there was a guidebook that I could give somebody who's starting out on this journey, but I can't. The only thing I can tell them is that don't be afraid to ask for help. Mm-hmm. If you don't know how to reach your kid, you find somebody that can, and then you guys work together, because it takes a village to raise a child. It's never easy. It's not easy with typical kids. And to add a layer of special needs on top of it is that much harder, because so many people are so quick to judge you without knowing what your daily life is like. And I mean, even family members would say little things and it would irritate the hell out of me. But I knew that they were trying to come from a good place, so I tried to take it at that value. But it isn't until one day, until my blog came out, that they really understand what a day is like in our house.
Right.
You know, what we've been through and, you know, what we continue to have to go through and fight to get Ralph's services and the right classroom fit and, you know, different types of things. Like it's a fight across the board. So if you have a person who has autism in your family or know a friend that does, just give them a hug sometimes, because we need it. It's tough.
I mean, going back to like what you said about family, I mean, how has that kind of affected you? Has that brought the family closer? Because I know what you said with your mom, and I know we could, you know, moms in general, even dads as well. I mean, they're always reliable to kind of count on. But then, because, I mean, do you have a large family?
Well, I do. I have a very large family. My husband does not. It's just him and his brother and his mom and a few cousins and uncles that are here in this area in Maryland. But my family's in Virginia, and when we need a babysitter, you know, I just don't trust anybody to watch Ralph, because, you know, sometimes his temper tantrums can be off the charts, and you want somebody who understands what's going on with him to watch your kids. And so I have like close family members that live close by that'll watch him. My parents will even come out from Midland, Virginia to stay at my house in Maryland to watch him, because he's comfortable here. He knows his surroundings, that kind of stuff.
Right.
But it's funny, like when people invite you to family gatherings and they always wonder like why we are always kind of off to ourselves. It's because our son has an anxiety being around a lot of people.
Okay. And
so at first they used to take kind of like little digs or so at us and say like, oh, they're being antisocial, or Ralph is just spoiled, but not knowing the true meaning behind it. Like he has separation anxiety. He never wanted to be out of our sight. We couldn't go anywhere. He would wander off. And as you know, autistic kids, they gravitate towards water, or they like to roam. Like, you know, they could just walk out the door and never look back kind of stuff, and you would kill yourself trying to find them. And so we always had to keep an eye on him on that. And when my blog came out and the post that I did about don't judge me, and I tap on that, I'm like, look, it's not that we don't want to be here. It's just that we have him to consider in the setting, you know, those types of things. People don't get that initially. They always want to think about themselves, but you have to see it from someone else's perspective. Like when we have parties or go to cookouts and it's on a lake, I'm in complete terror, because I don't know if he's going to want to run and jump in the lake kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Because I remember we talked about that last time about him. He's taking swimming classes now, right? Yeah.
And so that's one of the things I use as a tool to calm myself down, because if he's ever separated from us, he'll have, you know, the ability to know how to swim. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're not to the point where he knows how to swim yet, but we're getting him comfortable with water and understand, you know, going under and things like that. it's going to take a while. And, you know, I'm investing a lot into it, like private swim lessons and stuff like that. But it's just, you know, it's those types of things we have to consider where someone else would. And everyone's like, take the kids on a cruise. And I'm like, hell no.
Right.
I'm not going on a cruise.
So how's he do? He said he's doing pretty good with swimming?
Yeah, he likes it. He likes the water. It's funny. You don't even know that he's an autistic kid when he's in the water. He's so calm and just serene with it. He doesn't want to be bothered. So that's one of the struggles with having the instructor. He doesn't want to do what the instructor says. He wants to do what Ralph wants to do.
Right.
So in his own time, he will submit. He has to protest first before he embraces the change.
That's pretty cool. So, I mean, another thing you talked about, being proactive. I know you said in the beginning, once everything kind of came out and you kind of digressed a bit, and then once you got control of everything, I mean, reading through the blog post, I mean, you really went proactive on there's just a situation. I mean, how did you, I mean, just the strength to do that. I mean, can you talk a little bit about that? So
one of my good friends, one of my best friends I've known forever since the middle school, her sister has a autistic son who is older than Ralph. And so she was a crutch that I leaned on a lot simply because she's been where I've been. Her son they thought he would be nonverbal, and her son talks in complete sentences and can identify with his surroundings, tell you his name, all that stuff. And I, sat down and talked to her because at first I didn't want to talk to her. Like I said, I shut myself out from the world. I didn't want to be bothered. I didn't want to admit that my son had an issue. And so once I finally did, I sought her advice, and she had a lot of resources. And so she kind of gave me a checklist to get started with. Like, first of all, I need to really work with the school system to get his IEP nailed down. That's the individual education plan.
And how is the school?
The school is not bad. Like I said, Prince George's County hasn't been known for the best school systems and programs, but I have to say that they try their best with the resources that they have.
Right.
If the state had more money to do a lot of things, they would probably beef up their autism program, because there are some schools who have overcrowding programs. Some schools don't. I'm kind of lucky that I'm in a really good situation with their school. His school he's at Rosaryville Elementary in Upper Marlboro, but they have a nice program. He's in a self-contained class, which basically means there's only 4 to 7 students in there, and it comes with a teacher and an aide. And they kind of work with him hand on hand with different lessons and things like that, like with mathematics, any type of academic thing, and kind of life lessons like using the bathroom, washing your hands, being kind of learning to be independent. But it's time that he gets into a more structured school for autism. So we've been working with his school and the county's school board to get him placed in a private school for autism at the Harbor School. That's where we really want him to go in Annapolis.
Okay.
But like just doing stuff like that, getting to know the resources that are available. There's the LIST services, which is the low intensity support services, those types of things. The school involvement, there's outside programs, like there's different nonprofits. There's like this ARC, which is geared for special needs kids, no matter if it's autism, ADD, anything that's on the spectrum type of stuff, like Asperger's. They have resources that help with education, like just general like Parks and Rec kind of stuff, like learning how to swim, different camps, all that kind of stuff. They have like support on behavior intervention. There is the LIST services. That's the $2,000 grant that they give out every year for you to use for your child. That's either paying for services like speech pathology, occupational therapy. We use it for swimming, because it's considered as a therapy for Ralph because he enjoys it.
Yeah.
You can use it for educational equipment, like you can get iPads, things like that. You can use that $2,000 as long as you submit it on your application. You can get them to purchase it for you, and they send it right to your home. Like some people didn't even know about that, or putting their name on the registered list for special needs to be placed on. It's a roster for school placement outside of the county. If the county is not giving what the child needs to be successful with their education, there is a register list that you put your child's name on. Of course, to get to them, it takes 3 to 5 years to get to. So the sooner you put your name on it, the better. Like they're only on 2010 right now, or 2012, something crazy. Mm-hmm. So by the time Ralph is in high school, he would probably be selected to do this kind of stuff. But by me being proactive and starting to work with the school, getting the school on board and saying, look, we have a disconnect. He's not getting the academics like he's supposed to. He's behind. What can we do to help him? If we catch this early on, he'll be able to get a regular diploma just like every other kid out there. And that's what I want to give. I want to give Ralph a sense of independence where he doesn't have to depend on any of us. Me and my husband could be gone today or tomorrow, but I wanted to know that he would be able to survive on his own. And, I don't want Mackenzie to have to feel like she has to live her life for her brother when she can live her life. They can live separate lives, but she can still watch over him kind of stuff.
So tell me this. I mean, with the road that you traveled already, what would you have done differently now with what you know now?
I would have started much sooner. Like when we first noticed something was wrong, it stopped being so, what is the word? In denial about it. Mm-hmm. Just like, if I could have accepted it a year earlier, we probably would have been further along in the process and stuff. But, it is what it is. Right. I can't take it back. If I could do it over again, I wish I had done a lot of intervention earlier, like gone to the specialist when we first started knowing that something was up. And, I blame myself that I didn't understand that he wasn't hearing well. I mean, he was having fluid block his ears intermittently. So some days he could hear better than others. If he had a cold, he probably couldn't hear anything. But we didn't know this because he never had earaches. So it's just, those types of things.
Because my son got tubes just because of the ear infections. Mm-hmm. So I think the funniest thing was him coming out when he came out of surgery, and I was waiting for him. And when he was kind of waking up, I don't know if he was on Saturn or Pluto, but he was trying to come back. It was pretty hysterical. But kids alone, Jesus, my kids, I'm so freaking soft now. It's disgusting.
Don't even tell me about that. I cry everything.
And then my daughter is the first boy on the Diaz side of the family, going back like 3 or 4 generations. And I would have bet everything I owned that I would have had all boys. And I remember when the doctor pulled her out, I was in shock, I think. It was freaking, I was scared to death. And like you said, I got to get up and leave on certain commercials or TV shows or movies. It's a wreck.
Yeah, but see, I don't think a lot of fathers understand their role in the relationship with their daughter sometimes, because for me, my father was my first love. Mm-hmm.
And that's what
I'm telling you, it is so important to have that strong bond with your daughter, because it helps her dictate how she deals with men throughout the course of her life. Because if your father is a person that gives you minimal disappointment, then you can have somebody that you can count on. And that is the bar. And if you can't meet or exceed my dad, then we really have no need to talk.
Right.
And that's how I carried it.
It's so stressful.
No, it's not. It's not stressful. As a dad, just mean what you say and do it. Don't disappoint. Don't promise the world and not, that kind of stuff. Just give her consistency and love and affection, because if you don't do it, she'll try to find it someplace else.
Right.
And that's just a whole nother bag of tricks.
Well, that's what's stressing me out now. She's 11, going on like 16, and I know she finds dudes cute, and I know there are dudes in her class that find her cute, and it's just driving me nuts. It's like we went to a choir concert, and she's standing next to the kid in her class, and then they're smiling at each other and they're singing. I mean, I could have bent the freaking chair in half.
Just get your shotgun ready. You're going to need it. You're going to need it.
Man, but it is true what you said, because my son, he is such, the personalities are so different, and he takes so much of our time and energy, you know. And my daughter, like I said, she's independent as hell. And then it's just trying to keep up with her. I constantly have to remember not, you know, to see how she's doing, just check in on her, hang out with her. I mean, sometimes we'll do like I let them stay home from school, and I'll do something with them during that day. But I mean, one thing I do, even you're doing this with the blog, but I set up an email account for both of them, like Dear my son and Dear my daughter, and then it's like a journal in a sense, where I just kind of write maybe once a week, once every other week, just on what happened that day, and I kind of, you know, attach pictures or videos that I took of them, and then I plan on giving them this the password, of course. I don't know when they're in college or maybe when they start their family, and just kind of let them kind of read and see how.
That's so cool.
Shit was through my perspective.
That is so cool.
But I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, with my daughter, she's old enough now. She's going to be starting martial arts soon, because there's no way in hell I'm going to be able to let her leave the house without being able to throw a punch, a kick, or an elbow.
Oh, man. Let's see. And it's funny. My daughter's 5, and she's very shapely at 5. And I'm like, oh, my God, when you become a teenager, I am in trouble. Like, it's... And she's very girly, and I was never girly. Like, she pink and purple, everything. And my favorite color growing up, and still to this day, is black. I had a black and white room. I swear to you, I did.
How many fights did you get in high school?
I didn't get into any real fights. I got into altercations with a few. I had a run-in with Nikki.
Right.
I had a run-in with Lovey and Jennifer. Those are like my 3 top. Oh, and one when I was a senior. I mean, I got in a little after-school detention, but nothing really. Oh, we got into that brawl back when we played basketball, the girls' basketball team with Stonewall. Remember that debacle? I don't think you were there. Or you were at school. You were at VCU by then.
What, you graduated
95.
All right, so yeah, that was already gone.
Yeah. We had Emily got into it with somebody, and so they tried to rough her, and so the bench cleared on both sides. It was amazing. It was hilarious, to be honest with you.
Man, I got to tell you, high school, I couldn't get out of that town fast enough. I didn't. It was just insane. Like I couldn't wait to get back to like the city, because you know what I mean. For me, being mixed, and like I said, just having white and black, it was just odd for me, especially going up to the Bronx like 3 times a year and seeing everybody, like neighbors, and then coming back to like this small town of Virginia, and it just felt so like it was just in a bubble, you know.
And we were in a bubble, and I'm a firm believer that when I got to college, I wilded out. I had a ball. I did everything that I wasn't supposed to do because my parents kept that thumb on my head, kept me focused. And the humility of having to come home and explain why my parents worked 2 jobs to put me through school so I didn't have any student loans. And having to carry that on my back, that made me go back to school and just knock it out. And that's what I did. And to me, that was my very first testimony in life. I was like, everybody said I would never come back and finish school. I went to community college. I had a job.
Really? Friends told you that, or teachers told you that?
Friends, teachers, relatives. Oh, I had a lot of haters, and I had to prove everybody wrong.
My art teacher told me don't even bother to go to college because I was just going to flunk out.
That's terrible.
And then when I graduated and I got my job up in New York, I went to see her. I walked in, and the first thing she said to me is, "I thought you'd be in jail by now."
Ooh, what?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I was just like, shit.
And you know what's funny? Ever since high school, I was always self-conscious about my writing. And it was because of Miss I don't know if you remember her.
No, I didn't have her.
She was a mean, she was awful. She told me that I could never write. I would never amount to anything.
Really?
And told all this crap, right? And so when I wrote my first blog and everybody commended me, it's like, your writing is so great. I wanted to send her ass an email and say, you know what? I am pretty damn special. No matter what you can say, you can't break me, and I'm still here, still standing.
See, and
doing very well.
Ain't that messed up how
but,
shit like that still affects you?
It does, but it also it gave me character and strength. And I mean, I'm like, you know what? I don't care what anybody says about me. Like, my job is my job. Right. And, you know, it doesn't define me. You know, people can say, oh, she doesn't know this. I don't care, because outside of work, I matter to a lot of people. You only matter between the hours of 9 to 5. And after that, I'm done with you. I go home to my real job. And so it's just, you know, and having Ralph and his challenges has put life in so much of a better perspective for myself. It was always about, I got to make all this money. I got to get this career. I got to do this. I got to do that. No, I don't. Because I had the opportunity to apply for a really great job at my agency, and I didn't apply to it. You want to know why? It's because I knew that my family came first. So when the director approached me and asked me, he said, well, why didn't you apply to this job? I was like, I said, you want me to be really honest with you? He said, yeah. I said, okay. In my mind, I'm like, I hope you can take my brutal honesty. So I told him, I said, well, look, I said, I know the person who has been acting in this position, and they've been sending emails out at 11, 12 o'clock at night. I'm going to bed. I said, because when I get home, that's when my real work starts. I said, I have 2 kids, and I said, I can work for the rest of my life. But to be honest with you, I only get one chance to be a good parent. Right. I want to be a parent that I want my kids to know that I was there. I loved them, and my head wasn't buried in my laptop. Because at the end of the day, if I croak and die, there's a hole left in my family, but you will hire somebody else to replace me here at work. Mm-hmm. So that's why I didn't apply to your job. Yeah.
And I got to remember, my parents, I think my mom didn't work until we went into probably high school. But I don't, like I said, my dad, I don't ever remember seeing my dad that much until like after like 5:30, of course. But I mean, even now, you know, so many people are both, I don't know where things got so like fucked up. I was like, I don't ever remember when we worked, you worked 8 hours, you had a lunch break, and you only worked 8 hours. Now all of a sudden, you got to work 8 hours and your lunch break don't count. When the hell did 9 to 5 become 9 to 6? And then like, when the hell did it come to the point where now both parents have to work? Because that's the same thing with us. Like my wife, I didn't want her working, you know, and a lot of our friends, they moved into like the big houses, and I was like, look, let's just get something that fits us, because like that's when 2008 started rolling around. I was like, if I lose my job, I don't want to be stressed out because I got a freaking $4,000 mortgage that I got to worry about. And then, so even now, I mean, she gets off, she works part-time, she takes the summers off, and then, because again, I just don't want my kids coming home at like, getting up at 8, getting on the bus, and then coming home like at 6:30, 7, because that's what time we get home. Right.
Like that's what I was trying to explain to him. And it's funny, he's about to have a kid. So I'm like, you know, all this stuff you stressing us out about, it's about to change for you too, because you're not just responsible for yourself. You're responsible for the molding and shaping of this little person. And it's a big responsibility. And until you go through it, you walk a mile in someone else's shoes, you don't know. Like my brother had 4 kids. I used to babysit them on occasions. I had a taste of it, but I never knew what it was like to really raise a kid, like give birth and change diapers 24/7, get thrown up on all the time. I mean, I never knew that. I knew that occasionally. But when you first have that kid and you bring him home, you sitting there looking at your spouse like, what the hell do we do now?
Yep. So my grandfather used to say that I'm happy when you come and I'm happy when you go.
Yeah. And now you know the meaning behind it.
Jesus.
But it's tough. But I look at my kids and I think that was the best investment I've ever made in my life. It gives me purpose. It's where I draw strength from. I want them to know that with hard work, you can have anything. You can be anything. One of the things we do on a daily basis, I make them look in the mirror every morning or at night, depending on how our schedule runs. And they look in the mirror and look at themselves and say, I am smart. I am beautiful. I can do anything. Nobody is better than me, and I'm not better than anyone. And I will be respectful and kind to others. And we say that every day. And it's funny, my son has learned the phrase, so when we look in the mirror, he automatically says it. I don't have to prompt him to say it.
Right.
And my daughter, she thinks it's silly, but she doesn't understand the meaning behind it. Because if you don't say things out loud and speak them into existence and really start early about teaching them self-confidence and understanding who they are and what value they bring to people's lives, and they go around feeling like they're worthless, or they're constantly searching for that next big thing. I want her to know that, she's a strong Black woman from day one, and that's how I'm going to raise her.
So,
like, love the skin that you're in.
How do you deal with guilt? Because I don't know if you had to deal with this, or because sometimes with me, like my son, I mean, my patience with him is pretty good. If he catches me on a short fuse day, and then I have to discipline him, sometimes I feel guilty as like hell, like afterwards.
I always feel guilty. I like with Ralph. Sometimes he goes so far, like he can't help himself. Like he starts on a tantrum, and it's just like it's downhill. And he'll get you to that point where you have to really discipline him. And I don't think he understands how bad it hurts me to do this. I'm like, I know that you have this issue, but you have to be accountable for your actions. And you know why I say this? As a male, a minority male, if you get pulled over and if you have any type of outburst, anything like that, something bad could happen. Mm-hmm. And I want him to understand early the consequences of his actions. I'm like, look, when you're in a situation and you're doing something you don't want to do, you have to do it, and you can't act crazy because something, you never know what happens. It's just like the mind frame of things. Like you can see things 15 years from now. Like he can't be 25 throwing a tantrum, banging up against the wall and doing something like that.
Right.
Because what could happen? But I feel guilty all the time. But after I put him in timeout or sit him in his room so he can calm himself down, I'll go back and give him a hug. And I was like, Ralph, you can't do this kind of stuff. Mackenzie, she's already remorseful. She knows how to get on my good side.
Right.
Like, she's like, Mom, I'm so sorry for being a brat, or I'm so sorry for this, and, that kind of stuff. So I kind of get a break with her. But with Ralph, I don't think he understands the concept of his actions. He is remorseful because he'll say, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Mm-hmm. But it's just like, come on, dude. I'm like, we're all we got. You got to stop acting crazy.
Because I know you'll see this more the older that they get, but seeing my daughter being 11 and my son being 7, I realized that I wasn't as slick as I thought I was, because I can see them doing a lot of stuff I did at that age. And it's like, I wasn't like fooling anybody, and I kind of hysterical, kind of talking with my parents again, seeing if they remember stuff. Because for my daughter's 11th birthday, she wanted to go take her friends out to a movie. And she invited her best friend, her girlfriend, and then these 2 boys. And I'm like, is this a freaking date? Oh, what the hell is this? And my wife knew about it, and she's like, cool. And I was like, no, you sit your ass on that side. I'm sitting my ass over here. And it's just like, who do you think?
Of God, I'm not ready for that.
None of them. I'm playing it out, worst case scenario, and I know they're nowhere close, but just get ready. You ain't gonna be ready.
I'm not gonna be ready
to give that time or that real estate up to someone else.
No,
I would
have a heart attack.
because I asked, I said, you got any boys that you find cute? And she looked at me, she goes, oh, no. I can tell by that face. I was like, oh, you're lying to me.
Oh, man.
It's just like...
Well, wait till she hits 13. That's when the hormones are really jumping.
Oh, my God.
Well, actually, you have until... You said she's 11?
Yeah.
Maybe next year she may start the woman thing, the cycle, and that's going to be a trip.
Yeah. I don't
Then
know.
you have to deal with that.
I don't get me wrong. I thought I was a good dude growing up. I don't deserve anything bad.
No, it's not bad. It's just life, man.
I know.
It is what it is. It's tough.
I
know my daughter's going to be dramatic. She's so dramatic now. So I'm just like, Mackenzie, just calm down.
I don't know. I try to be intimidating as hell because I go on the field trips and she'll tell me, hey, he's afraid of you. And I was like, oh, he shouldn't be. But I'm thinking, damn right, little mother. I'll kick your little ass, boy. But so tell me, going back to this Raising Ralph. I mean, what are some of the goals that you got coming for this? Is it just more of a spot where you can just kind of put your thoughts down and use this as an asset to other people, or do you have something maybe like a larger goal that you're working for?
Well, for right now, I just want to boost my followers. I want to reach touch as many people as I can. And here, 1 second. Mackenzie, you're interrupting my interview. Here you go. All right. So, I would love just to be able for it to generate some type of funds where we can donate to autism awareness organizations, like do events kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Get to the point where I can get some really good folks in to do workshops to teach parents how to manage, a kid's outbursts, tantrums, and things like that. They got a lot of RDI workshops that they provide. I think through the county of Maryland. Maryland has it. It's called Pathfinders of Autism. They put on a lot of different trainings and things of that nature for professionals, for parents. And, I would love to be one of the people that help facilitate that kind of stuff. I think one of my goals in life is just to help people by the masses. Maybe I'm a hippie at heart. Like, I want to change the world. I'm so tired of hearing about people being so just negative and just, random acts of kindness are a rare occurrence. I want it to be the norm kind of stuff. Like, it doesn't hurt just to pay for somebody's meal behind you or open up a door for somebody who's carrying groceries. I mean, it's a trip. Mm-hmm. So that's one of my goals. And if, so be it, maybe one day when I hit the lottery for multi-millions of dollars, I can open up my own school.
Poor people do that lottery stuff. We work hard.
I'm just trying to network. I'm just trying to network and run into the right person. That's my lottery. That we can build a dream together.
Right, so. I mean, hell, it just comes down to doing it. Just doing it. I don't know how long you thought about starting this blog, how long that process was until you eventually put, fingertip to keyboard. But in the end, it
wasn't that long. It's really funny because every year, you know how you think about your New Year's resolutions and stuff like that, right?
Right.
So when I finally came to grips with Ralph's thing, it's always been on my heart to do something to share with others because I've always been kind of an open book when it came to helping people. Like, I never mind reaching back to help somebody out. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, I should start a blog. And I said, I'm going to call it Raising Ralph. And so I told my husband that. He was like, really? And I was like, yeah, I want to do that. He's like, where are you going to find time to do that? Because I started a little bath products making business where, I make handmade soaps and scrubs and things like that and lotions. And so he was like, you're going to add something else to your plate? I'm like, dude, if my heart feels it, I'm going to go with it. And so I started building my site one night when I couldn't sleep at midnight, and that's how it all began. I said it was one of my goals this year to start it, and so I can check that one off the box.
Very cool. Did you put together like a schedule of when you're going to post stuff like that, or is it just random right now?
Well, see, I am the old school. I don't just do things online like you know how people type everything up and Google Docs and stuff. I keep journal books, and so I always jot down ideas.
So you long form write this stuff first?
No. I don't write it in there, but I just jot down the ideas. So one day I was just like really brainstorming some different things. So I came up with 20 different topics, and so far I have 13 in the hopper, and I think I posted like 5.
Okay, cool.
But it's just like different topics that I come across. Like one, I want to talk about our concern is for Ralph to make new friends. Like, is he going to be a kid that has friends? And you know how every parent worries that your kid gets bullied, or is there going to be one person that really lets their guard down and really, you know, gives them a full-blown friendship? And, you know, just talk about that and talk about like the friends you may lose as an adult because you have a kid with special needs, because people can't handle that. They don't want to invite you to shit because your kid may act up.
Right.
Instead of understanding the problem and, you know, just like, hey, I know that you're going through this, you know, you can come over. It's okay. You know, that kind of stuff. There's a lot of people that aren't like that. Even the people that you thought were your friends. And so, you know, it's just like writing about that perspective. I have another one where I talk about his swim lessons. Like, I like to give shout outs to the different companies we use for services, like his speech therapy place we go to, the kids' first swim school out in Bowie that we use. I have an article I'm writing about them, talking about the teachers and the front office staff that make sure Ralph gets to class every day. You know, just little things like that. I want to do like a post, maybe a couple of special posts about autism awareness, since it's Autism Awareness Month starting on April. April 1st is the whole month. It's Autism Awareness Month.
Okay.
And really focusing on stuff like that. Hopefully next year I'll be able to have better planning and do like maybe a paint night that the people who attend their fee to do a paint night, half of it will go to the proceeds to an autism awareness nonprofit organization, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah. That's cool. And I think if you could stay consistent with your posting so people know when to expect a new post from you, I mean, it's real important. That'd be very cool.
So I try to do at least once a week. I did 2 last week because that one that I wrote, Don't Judge Me, was real personal.
Yeah.
And I really dug down deep to write that because it's been on my heart for a while. So I couldn't wait to post it this week, so I posted it last week. But I have another one coming out. It should be out by Sunday. I couldn't get it out this earlier because that stomach virus had me down, boy. Right. I don't wish that on anybody.
So, well, listen, I know it's getting the start of the weekend, and I don't want to keep you too late, but I really appreciate you coming on and being able to talk about this. Like I said, the stuff that I've read so far, I think what you're doing is great, and if any way I could help out, I mean, I'm definitely will do. And hopefully this, like I said, the demo for this podcast is a little Neanderthal knuckle draggers, but we can definitly get the word
and
out.
The funny thing is, Brian, I'm really considering putting Ralph in martial arts. They have
you should, I would definitely advise that, and don't do taekwondo or not, do jiu-jitsu. Like Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I can send you places near you that are pretty decent, but I wouldn't waste your time. Not that taekwondo is bad. I don't want to, all you taekwondo people out there, don't get pissed off at me. But from looking at it, in my experience, there's maybe 3 good techniques from that you can learn. I mean, jiu-jitsu, especially for bullying, every fight that I've ever had ended up on the ground, and jiu-jitsu is specifically made for the weaker person and smaller person. And that is where I would start and let them just go from there.
Well, the reason I'm saying that, there is a company that's out here that one of the kids attends our school, and he's autistic. And so his father runs a martial arts school. And so they really focus on kids on the spectrum. So I was like, well, that's cool. It teaches them like how to have self-control and things like that. So I was like, we need all the help we can get. I just hope he doesn't take what he learns and try to whip our ass. But anyway.
If you got a good instructor, you know, discipline is always, you know, first and foremost, especially, like I said, in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I have, I mean, it sounds funny, but I started Jiu-Jitsu 8-9 years ago. And I thought when I left for college, my confidence was a boost. When I graduated and went to New York again, but just knowing now that, you know, I can handle any situation. I may not win, but I know that I can at least handle it. Man, it is like I can't explain the amount of comfort that I get in just knowing that. You know, don't get me wrong. You get in a fight, anybody can get clipped, and game changer. But it's, I mean, both of my kids will definitely at least do jiu-jitsu and maybe move into Muay Thai and stuff like that. But
you're gonna make me go do it.
I mean, I'm trying to get my wife to do it. Look, there are 2 girls in my class, and if they're listening, I'm not going to say their name because they're probably laughing at me now. There is absolutely nothing I can do to beat them. I got 80 pounds on them. I'm probably 7 inches tall of them, and they wipe my ass on the mat daily.
Are you serious?
I swear. And don't get me wrong, one of them, even if I tried to get physical and tried to punch, she's more skilled with the hands, with the feet. It's humbling is what it, you know, comes down to in the end.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to do something.
Because I'm telling you, I wish I knew that shit in high school.
Who are you telling?
That would have been perfect. But so listen, again, thank you so much for coming on. You know, I'd love to have you on again, and then, you know,
sure,
any links that you have that you want me to promote, because I think this is great. I didn't even know that April was Autism Awareness Month, so this just comes out perfect.
Yeah, you can actually put Autism Speaks. They're a really big nonprofit organization that supports autism. They have a plethora of resources, like where you can get grants, resources, services, anything you name it, it can be found there. They are doing, I think, a walk in different cities. You can check that out, like 5K walks to raise money for autism. They have paraphernalia, like apparel and all kinds of stuff.
Right.
So if you want to post something like that, that would be awesome.
All right, cool. Will do.
Okay.
So awesome. Thanks so much, Tiffany.
No problem. You have a great one.
You too. Thanks.
Wow.